Time for the business news, and we can say good morning to Stephen Carroll. Hi, Stephen.
Hi, Delano.
Now, you're starting out with Google, which has published details of requests to delete items from its search engine.
This is the so-called right to be forgotten. It comes from an EU court ruling in 2014, which allows European citizens to request that search engines remove results that are inaccurate or out of date. Now, this is the first official publication from Google of the requests that it has received. In the past 3 years, the search engine has been asked to remove more than 2.4 million links from its search results. Google says it complied with 43% of the requests to delete information, and their figures also show that almost 90% of requests came from individuals, with the majority being made by French, German and British citizens. Google's also used the opportunity to publish research on the difficulty it has in determining whether these requests are valid or not. It's thought the information is likely to form the basis of a challenge to the legal ruling in the future.
Now, shifting focus to Australia next, and a major recall of airbags, over faulty airbags, rather.
That's right. It's the latest twist in a long-running scandal over airbags made by the Japanese firm Takata. The Australian government has issued a mandatory recall of around 2.3 million cars. It's the first ever compulsory order of its kind in the motor industry there. The move obliges manufacturers, sellers and importers to ensure the faulty airbags are located and replaced as soon as possible. Exploding airbags made by Takata are thought to be responsible for at least 23 deaths worldwide. Globally, more than 100 million cars have been recalled over the issue.
Turning to the markets next, and to reaction of comments by the head of the new central bank, American Central Bank.
That's right. Fed Chairman Jerome Powell rattled the markets as he gave a bullish view of the American economy. Investors are worried about a faster pace of rate rises that could put an end to cheap credit. Wall Street tumbled after those remarks. Here's how the European markets have opened today following that trend into the red. London, Paris and Frankfurt all down by 0.5%. Asian investors sharing the same fears about the end of cheap loans. There were also some Chinese manufacturing figures showing a drop in manufacturing growth, which are impacting trading there, as you can see on the Shanghai Composite and the Hang Seng in Hong Kong.
Now, Stephen, here in France, there are doubts over the future of a Ford plant in Bordeaux.
That's right. The carmaker says it's looking for a buyer for the factory there. 1,000 people work at the plant, but Ford says that it's more expensive to make car parts there than in the United States. France's Economy Minister Bruno Le Maire has urged the American manufacturer to ensure the site remains open by working with unions, local communities and the government to find a solution. Nadia Massey has the story.
Ford employees are concerned. More than 1,000 jobs are at risk here after the American company decided it would no longer invest in the factory.
We're angry and furious.
We're losing our jobs, and there aren't many at the moment.
Skills that were valued 30 years ago aren't anymore, so it's going to be complicated.
This factory was meant to produce a new car part, but Ford says that making it would cost 20% more in France than in the United States. In a statement, the company said, "We maintain our commitment to finding a viable and sustainable solution to employment at the factory." 5 years ago, the site faced difficulties and local government leaders poured money in to keep the factory open. So this time around, Bordeaux's mayor says the renewed problems are a bitter pill to swallow.
It's a big blow for the staff, for the entire industry in the region. I've asked the Economy Minister to bring all parties together as quickly as possible so that Ford can take responsibility for this.
The Economy Ministry too insists it's doing what it can, requesting that the factory's operations continue until at least the end of 2019. Union and workers' representatives, along with local officials, will discuss the problem face-to-face at a meeting on Friday.
In the UK, 2 major high street retailers are said to be on the brink of collapse. Toys R Us has been looking for a buyer after its American owners filed for bankruptcy protection last year. Now it's facing a multi-million-pound tax bill that it says it won't be able to pay if it's not sold. Mappin Electronics is also looking for a buyer. Together, the 2 chains employ 5,500 people in the UK.
And finally from you, Stephen, Comcast bid to buy the broadcaster Sky came after an unusual tip-off. How did they get it?
The Financial Times is reporting today that it was a London taxi driver that drew the Comcast CEO's attention to Sky. Brian Roberts says the driver was very well informed about the differences between pay TV providers, and that was part of what inspired his bid for the company. Comcast is offering over £22 billion or 25 billion euros for the London-based broadcaster. The offer would pit Comcast against Rupert Murdoch's 21st Century Fox, which is trying to buy the 61% of Sky that it doesn't already own. That deal valuing the broadcaster at £18.5 billion. Just proving you have to listen to your taxi drivers. I got no business tips on my way to work today. I don't know about you.
I didn't get any business tips either. I was trying to stay awake and listen to some music. Stephen Carroll, thank you very much for that business roundup.